Hi, this is Jed Wonderly with the Utah Sports Report, and I am here with a couple of very special guests. Last time I had a special guest on, it was my beautiful daughter, Jordan, and that was after a rather tragic loss that we had. And this time, since he's recovered from that loss, I've got my awesome son-in-law, Joseph, joining us. A little side note, this is Joe and Joe from their podcast. If you want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah, we have a podcast where we talk about all college football, and we run it together. And if you want to look it up, it's JO versus VS, JOE. Yeah. Joe.
Yeah, and that's on Spotify, and I will leave a link.
And Apple Podcasts.
I will, cool. And I'll leave a link down below, maybe 2 links, and I urge you to check it out. You could win a prize. There's a prize up for grabs every week with actual value.
Yeah,
and,
a whole dollar.
It's called Joseph's Dollar Challenge. But now let's get to the opposite of the BYU loss with the incredible USC victory. First time in 105 years. Last time we beat the Trojans was 1916 down in LA, and we've now kind of removed that curse with really a fantastic game, especially considering the circumstances where nobody really knew how we were going to handle that. So let's talk about that a little bit. First of all, Joe and Joe, whichever one, give me your thoughts on our performance yesterday overall, and what you thought relative to the situation that they had to go through to get there.
You go.
Well, I was very pleasantly surprised, I think, by Utah. I did not have much faith going in the game. I actually thought USC was going to win because, it has been 105 years. It just seems like USC has our number when we're there. But that being said, I think Utah looked the best they have all season. I think Cam Rising had a really, really good game. I think our whole offense, honestly, it was their best game by far for this whole season. And so it was just finally good to see it. I think we threw the ball a little more, which was nice. And, it's nice to see that we have an offense.
But we put up about 480 some odd yards of offense, and unfortunately gave up 490-ish, 492. But, that last TD, which was, 79 yards, give or take, that was in garbage time.
Even the last 2 touchdowns, I think, were a little more like on our down.
Yeah, the second to last one, we had our starters in, though, and the last one, it was pretty much, the subs.
But I think our last one with the starters, they kind of were just like
probably
on cruise control by that point.
Right. Probably. Joseph, what are your thoughts on the whole situation?
I thought we were going to win this game, actually. If you listen to our podcast,
he did on his podcast pick Utah to win, and like nobody else did.
I did.
So.
I thought I had my Utah goggles on, but I went into this week knowing that USC is not the normal USC of old, I guess you could say. Having lost their coach at the beginning of the year, having had their quarterback get hurt, and then having him come back for the Utah game, I just feel like things are a little off.
Before the Utah game, though. So
little, yeah, but Dart was killing it. He was scary. But I will say, I just kind of felt like Utah maybe had it, and I think that they were emotionally motivated for this game as well. Lots of reasons to be emotionally motivated. I'm no expert, but I definitely felt Utah was going to come out on top, and they did. And I think Cam Rising is a leader amongst leaders on the football team, and he's the leader that Utah needs right now. I think he's great.
I can't agree more. I think Cam is not only a great player, but he is really a great leader. And, he leads by example, he leads vocally, and he also does a great job of passing credit around and giving credit where credit's due. If you saw him in his interview post-game last night, the gal who was interviewing him said, Cam, that was such a great game. You did this, that, and the other thing, and was kind of, fawning over him. And the first thing out of his mouth, he said, well, it wasn't just me. There was 10 other guys on the field, and all the coaches did a great job, and blah, blah, blah. So I think he is definitely hoping he stays here for all 3 years, but I think he's definitely our quarterback for the next 3 years, especially if he's healthy as well. So now, that said, let's talk a little bit more about Cam. There was a play yesterday that was kind of, in the latter part of the game, and supposedly the story goes that he misread his armband and got him up into a wrong formation, and then Utah called a timeout, and they went over, and Coach Whittingham said, Cam, why are you lining up like that? And Cam said, something to the effect that, well, I thought we were lining up for the flea flicker, and Coach Witt was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's run it. So they came back out and lined up in the same formation, and but for the fact that part of that play was run before the timeout was called, it would have given it away, except for it worked in Utah's favor because it looked like a run to TJ Pledger. And it didn't turn out that way. Now, there's another side of that story, but first of all, let's hear from Jordan and Joseph about their thoughts on the story and on the play itself.
Yeah, that was the story I heard. But one thing was, it would make more sense, that story would make more sense, I guess, if Utah called the timeout, but USC called the timeout. And so that's where it doesn't line up. But it also makes sense that we would just be doing a run, that's typical. And so
4th and 1.
Yeah, exactly. And so then to just, but that was the story we heard, but it doesn't line up as far as the USC was the one that called the timeout.
It still can line up, though, in that they were going to run that play, and then in the timeout, they were like, what was going on?
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, let's switch it up. Because it was the exact play, except for with the flea flicker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could probably do either, an actual run or a flea flicker based on that.
Yeah.
The other version I heard, and this is just somebody's guess, and it's somebody's guess because of the fact that USC called the timeout, and that is that Cam knew what play was supposed to be run. And he looked at his armband and said, and apparently the flea flicker thing was probably right below the actual play that was supposed to be run, and he looked at it and he said, you know what? Let's try the flea flicker, because they will not be expecting that. And so this guy's idea is that he lined him up like that, and then during the timeout, Witt said, what were you doing? And Cam said, well, I don't know, I just misread my armband, kind of trying to sell it that way. And Witt said, oh, I like that. That's a good idea. Let's run it. So I believe that part of the story, where Witt kind of changed his mind on it. But it's just how you get there that matters.
I really hope it actually is that way, that Cam was like, I think we should run a flea flicker, because I just think we need someone like that on our offense. I think our offense is very safe and just tends to go the old safe way, which is really not safe because it doesn't really get us anywhere. Where with Cam,
excellent point.
We were looking to, with Cam, we looked good. Our offense looked like an actual offense. It was the most fun I've seen in our offense in a while. And so if Cam did that, that's really hopeful for the future and the rest of the season, because that means that hopefully we'll see more plays like that again. And they're successful. They're more successful. I would argue that we probably wouldn't have gotten that first down if we had just ran it, just historically. I just don't know. But that, because of that changeup, because of that direction, we were able to, and not even get a first down, but a touchdown. So
right. I also think, to take that a step further, that was right at the end of the first half. Time was ticking down, and I feel like if we got the first down, we would have ended up settling for a field goal and not getting a touchdown.
Because we're not that way. We never just are like, let's just go for the touchdown. We're like, let's just kick the field goal and run out the clock.
Very much on the attack offensively the whole game.
Which is not normal for us.
Yeah, we're very much conservative, whereas this time we were very much going down the field.
Well, look at that play on 3rd and 7 where we're rising through to Theo Howard. And it was 3rd and 7. Usually it would be like a quick slant or something like that, but that was a little higher risk play going over the top like that. And beautiful throw.
High risk,
Spot
high
on.
reward.
Yep. Any other plays or times of the game or anything that stands out to you guys?
There was a
relative
few
to-
just good catches too. Cam Rising was pretty accurate the whole time, but that catch by Britton Covey, when he
That was another great
when
play.
or there were 2 defenders on him, I think.
It
Or
was the
just
way you were
one?
talking about, the one on the right side of the
Yeah.
field. Yeah, one defender, but the guy was on
But
him.
the guy
like,
was on him
Yeah,
like
it's
a
a
good
ton.
catch.
And that was a cool catch.
that's not a throw that I think most Utah quarterbacks typically make.
No.
But I'm glad to see that. In fact, little side note: if any of you watched the Oklahoma-Texas game, you would have seen 2 amazing 50-50 throws from Oklahoma's freshman quarterback, and he's to the same guy, Marvin Mims, and Mims just made great plays both times and caught the ball. One of them was that touchdown, whereas you could barely see the green between the line and his sneaker. But I feel like Rising made a couple of 50-50 type throws and trusted his receivers to make the play.
Yeah.
So what other? Give me a play,
I love
Joseph.
the uniforms.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Every play looked good because of the uniforms that we were wearing. That's my thought. I think we should wear those uniforms all the time. I think they're my favorite uniform. We should wear them at home. I don't know. We should have a whiteout game for sure, though.
Whiteout, blackout, and redout.
Yeah, I would sub the whiteout for the blackout. My personal opinion, but I'm happy having all of them.
Yeah, we might as well.
But I am a big whiteout fan. Those uniforms need to be permanent, I think, at least for away.
So
I don't know.
So now that we know that how
Every
much
play
you love
looked
the
good because
uniforms,
of the uniforms. Looked so good.
give me your favorite play.
Cam Rising diving into the end zone.
That was
What an
good, too.
amazing play that was.
Looked good in that uniform. With getting the grass stain on it and everything. Natural grass. Oof. Yep. It was great.
How great of a play was that, though?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he wasn't
doesn't-
going down.
Cam Rising
That was a
doesn't
good one.
look athletic. I'm so
doesn't.
sorry. He's way more athletic than I will ever be. All the
And
things.
he's great. He's the
Like,
best quarterback we've
and I
had in
don't
a while.
know-
He's a
And I
great
don't know-
dual threat quarterback, but
Yeah.
he doesn't
And I don't
look
know-
super athletic.
He just doesn't.
but he's fast and strong.
He's fast, strong, and he flew into the end zone. It was great.
That was awesome. That was a good one, too.
That was great. So, yeah, go Utes. That was a heck of a game. Let's talk a little bit about a few of the other games in the top 25 because there were some wild games yesterday. There was a lot of really great games
Yeah,
yesterday.
yesterday was the day for college football. It was amazing.
So start us off, Jordan.
So we had Oklahoma and Texas to start off the day.
Okay, so tell us a
And-
little bit about that game.
Well, Texas was the dominant team from the beginning, and then Oklahoma started coming back. It was a purely offense game. I don't think I saw the defense once.
103 points scored, by the way.
Honestly, the defense might as well not have showed up, but it's fine. But then Oklahoma ended up coming back and winning in like the last minute or so. It was a really
A heck of a run to win the game.
And Oklahoma ended up winning the game. We had Arkansas Ole Miss the same time.
Over 1,200 yards.
Which,
of offense.
yeah, again,
in that
purely
game.
offensive game. The final score ended up being 52-51.
Also 103 points in that game.
Literally, again, purely offense. And that was an amazing game, too. Literally came down to the last second. Arkansas could have tied it up, and instead they went for the 2-point conversion instead of the extra point. They got a touchdown, went for the 2-point conversion, missed it. I think it was the wrong call. I will be forever mad about that. I said, just tie it up, go into overtime. You'll have a better
Now,
shot.
for context, tell us why you're a little upset over that.
I had said that Arkansas was going to win, but I still think it was the wrong call. Even if I said Ole Miss was going to win, I still think it was the wrong call. And that
She just wouldn't have been as upset if she had picked the Ole Miss.
but you just tie it up. But anyway, Arkansas ended up losing by 1 point, which, yikes, that can't feel good. So we had those two games to start us off. We had the BYU Boise State game, which you talk more about this one because I wasn't able to watch it.
BYU. I personally, I'm very biased for Utah, but I will be honest about BYU in that I think they were the better team, but they kicked themselves in the foot way too much. They had 4 turnovers that were just costly turnovers, and Boise State just stayed solid the whole game, and it was a painful game to watch, just all around. But
So they lost to an unranked team.
my favorite game though of yesterday was the Penn State Iowa game.
Yep, that was
Penn
also
State Iowa game. That was
time.
pure, beautiful football. Penn State really, they just went down after their quarterback went down.
They did.
They would have
think
won the
that was-
game.
yeah.
They would have won the
No
game
question.
100%.
But Iowa took advantage, and Iowa's stadium was absolutely beautiful, and just they had a stripe out going on, and their players really fed the fire into it, and it was beautiful. It was a
So we
good
have
game.
that game.
You know, I want to, before we move on any further, I want to just acknowledge some of the similarities between the BYU Boise State game and the BYU Utah
It was
game
very similar.
in reverse. Exact same score, 26-17. We'll start off there. This time, BYU didn't have the 26, they had the 17. There was BYU lost. The better team in that game lost because of turnovers. The same way I feel like the better team in the Utah BYU game lost because we had more turnovers. Also, BYU got beat in the trenches, same way we got beat in the trenches, which is hugely important. So and it was played at Cougar Stadium. So there you go. That's
all those similarities.
Yes. all the
And another
similarities.
little rivalry. I think the Utah BYU
Yeah.
rivalry is more, but still another little rivalry.
Yep.
But then we also had Michigan at Nebraska, and that was a really close game. Honestly, Nebraska was ahead for a little bit. Then Michigan, again, just within the last,
I think if you're a Nebraska
few.
fan, you should be excited for the future.
yeah.
Now, just
You are
curious,
on the rise.
what was your thoughts on that game before it was played? Did you think it would be that close?
I thought it could
Yeah.
be that close because it's at Nebraska. I feel like that's never an easy game. So I thought it was going to be close. I thought if Michigan was going to get upset, this was the game.
Nebraska
so
is on
far.
the rise. Nebraska, if you're a Nebraska
are.
fan,
They
you should
proved
be
that yesterday.
happy with what you're seeing because they're almost beating good teams. They're almost there.
But
Just give it a
Michigan
year
was
or two
able
more.
to pull it out, beat them 32-29.
And Michigan continues to get no love. That's the one team that I'm saying.
So while we're
gets no
talking
love
about
at all.
Michigan, I want to, you can say it at the same time like you do in your podcast. In fact, let's do that. I'm going to ask you this question and then we'll go 3, 2, 1 and give me the answer. Who's the better team, Michigan or or Ohio State?
Wait.
Michigan or Ohio State? Who's the better team
Right today,
right now? 3, 2, 1.
Michigan.
Okay, I agree. I think that's true.
However,
It'll be fun to.
Things can't
it's going to
change.
change.
And Ohio State's not
looking
looking
better.
bad. Yeah,
they're looking better.
a lot
so
better.
it's close.
Now,
But-
how about them and
Michigan State,
Iowa?
Michigan and Iowa,
Yeah.
Michigan.
Yeah, I think Iowa's kind of posing right now.
Yeah, honestly, after seeing the Penn State Iowa game, I don't feel like Iowa's as good as
Yeah.
they
I
are
agree.
ranked.
So Jordan, I know that there's one more game that you want to get
Okay,
to real
well,
quick.
so then we had the Utah-USC game, and then to finish off the night, as far as like crazy games, this was the crazy game. This was the Alabama-Texas A&M game. And if you were to tell me that last night Alabama would lose and Utah would win, I would absolutely not have believed you at all. In fact, in our podcast, we pick the top 5 or 6 games that we think are going to be like really good games. So we picked Oklahoma and Texas. We picked, Arkansas and Ole Miss. We picked the ones that we think are going to be good. We didn't even pick Alabama, Texas
We didn't think
A&M
twice.
because we thought Alabama was going to blow Texas A&M out of the water. Really quick pause. We also forgot about the Georgia-Auburn game,
Yes.
which Georgia proved that they are number 1.
Yes.
Auburn scored a touchdown.
Like,
They did. The second touchdown against that
That is
great
an
Georgia defense all
accomplishment.
season.
it's amazing. Georgia's amazing. So anyway, they beat Auburn 34-10 and look like the number 1 team. Anyway, back to the Alabama-Texas A&M game. We didn't even cover it because we thought Alabama was going to blow Texas A&M out of the water. Texas A&M was up, from the beginning, and they were beating them at half. I think it was like 24 to 10.
Which was really surprising because so far this season, Texas A&M has looked very
Not good.
average.
Honestly, so
Average at
they
best.
almost lost. They barely beat Colorado at Colorado, and Colorado
They
is
beat them with a
last.
last-second touchdown.
Yeah, and
or last-minute
Colorado is
touchdown.
tied for last right now in the Pac-12 South, which is saying something because the Pac-12 South is not great right now. And so they're tied for last, and they almost beat Texas A&M. And then they lost to Arkansas, and then they lost to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Texas A&M.
Right, yes.
So they're not too good.
Do we know
They were 3-2 going into the game.
Do we know who Alabama plays next?
Mississippi State.
I'm sorry.
I know, that's what I said, which is funny though, because it's
so
ironic that
sorry.
Mississippi State beat Texas A&M, but I think Alabama's going to clobber
Sorry, Mississippi State.
Yes.
But anyway, Alabama did come back. They made a comeback because at halftime they were down 24-10, and then ended up losing 30.
They actually went up for a little bit. They went up 38 to
did.
31, and then A&M tied it at 38, and then held Alabama like a 3-and-out, I think, and then got the ball back
and got a field goal.
Yep.
It came down to the start of the game. Alabama really got off slow.
Yeah. It was just an insane game, and then the stats to follow it are crazy. This was the first time Alabama has lost to an unranked team since 2007. They had gone over 100 games without losing to an unranked team. And then Saban was literally 24-0 against former assistant coaches, and now he's 24-1.
Jimbo Fisher is the assistant coach that beat him last night, and Jimbo was 0-4 and up until last night. So he's given all the other former assistants a little bit of hope.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, it just shows how crazy Alabama is, but also just, it's insane. It's crazy that they lost too. But anyway, and Texas A&M celebrated like they won the national championship because they beat Alabama.
Why not? Yeah.
Anyway, that'll wrap it up for us today, and appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe. I will leave the links to their podcast down below, and feel free to follow them. And they cover more of the wide breadth of the top 25, and hopefully Utah can beat Arizona State next week, and then soon after that maybe start getting back in the talk of the top 25 and be part of a little bit more of their discussion. But follow them, check them out, and then we will see you soon. I'll be back on Wednesday with the Utah Sports Report for the upcoming game against Arizona State. Real quick, who's your pick, Utah against Arizona State?
I almost want to go Arizona State since it worked for me last time. Go USC and Utah wins, But, and I don't want to get my hopes up so high, but I feel like Utah's going to win.
I don't know who to pick, but it's going to be a lot harder of a game.
It is going to be a lot harder of a game.
I honestly don't think USC is that good.
No.
And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm no expert.
And
but
ASU has been looking good.
Arizona State is on the rise, and
they've been looking good.
I hope it rains and
I'm
snows
hoping,
for
though,
Utah's case.
that Utah wins.
Not for my case, but for
Right.
rains.
We're going to be there in the elements, whatever they may be. But I'm going with Utah because it's the Utah Sports Report. I have to go with Utah, and I'm sticking to it. So there you go. Go Utes. Make it a great day, and we'll catch you next time.